Hey, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Potter with Grandmaster Drift. If you're joining me from the previous video, welcome back. Continuing on with the Bingo Wasp chassis for the Redcat RDS. This video, I'm going to be installing it. No instructions, I'm not exactly sure step by step. We're going to find out together in this video. I have the chassis itself, I have the shock towers, and then I have the battery mount tray as well. I'm going to do the high center of gravity mount, so that's going to be fun to find out. I've never used that before. And yeah, so if you've already watched the video before, you just got the full rundown, so I'm not going to bother with that. And if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. I just go over everything, I unbox it. But here, got all the tools ready to start cranking, get the wrench going on the chassis, get all of the components taken off, and then I'm going to reinstall them. We have several mounting points. Gonna make sure I'm using the correct mounting points. I'm gonna be using stock geometry. Everything the way I have it set up on this chassis is exactly how I'm gonna have it set up on the Bingo Wasp. The only difference is I am gonna have the battery mount in the high center of gravity. So really nice aluminum. We've got the actual slats for it to hook it in. The actual battery holders, I guess you would call them. I'm not sure the official name, but yeah, they just swing and hold the battery on with the battery tray. So the high center of gravity mount, I also realized, is adjustable, so you can unscrew the bottom part. So if you don't want it to have it, you don't want to have it the full length, you can also shorten it. I'm gonna get a measurement on those, on how tall those are. Fitting on most bodies is gonna be an issue. As long as it's not too far past the motor. I actually have a new shell coming in. Sneak peek, it's gonna be a GTI, but yeah, that's gonna be fun. So it's a hatchback, and I think it's gonna be able to fit and accommodate the high center of gravity. Hopefully, we will find out. But in the meantime, the chassis for the Redcat RDS is not going to support that high center of gravity mount. I don't think it's going to fit, so I'm going to run no body for a while, for the next couple of weeks, until I actually get my shell finished. So, but here, yeah, that's most everything I wanted to talk about. All the hardware included, everything. We've got the actual part numbers if anybody needs to get those down for the high center of gravity battery tray, Bingo Wasp RDS chassis, and Bingo Wasp RDS shock towers. So he doesn't sell them on his website. He sells to retailers, and they sell. So online, your local hobby store will be able to get these in stock. Red carbon fiber. Now I'm just yapping too much. All right, let's start going. I'm going to do a time lapse. Once it's installed, I'll recap with you guys. If I need to cut in, talk about anything on the installation process, I'm going to definitely do that. Try to give you guys a little bit of insight, just because this is my first time ever really upgrading my chassis, dealing with a new chassis. I don't have the most experience. It's going to be straightforward, but it's not a tutorial or a how-to. But like I said, I'm going to just pop in when I need to. So let's get going. Okay, and as we're also getting started, I wanted to point out some of these holes. I was confused on what they were for, and there wasn't any paper instructions. There is a PDF available online, but basically you've got the stock battery holder, so that's one of them. The other one is going to be the universal battery tray, which sits on the floor of the deck. Then it also has a rearward mount, so you can mount the battery on the deck here, or you can scoot it back further if your electronics allow it to here. And then it has the high center of gravity mount. So that is what, I mean, you've got 4 different sets of holes that you can utilize for different placement. And so I did question that at the beginning, but now that's becoming much more clear as we're diving into this. And I am doing the high center of gravity mount, like I had already said. Maybe in the future I'll test out some different placements, but I'm just so excited to have that option for my chassis. So that's the route we're gonna take. And you know, here on the actual Redcat RDS chassis, I'll point out these holes, I don't know what they're for. And this is on the front. So on that, I just can't make heads or tails. No extra holes in the back. and then you have the wide or the center mounting points for the battery, but everything else lines up. So, but I've never been clear on what those extra holes are for, but just lining up the chassis, jeez, that looks so good. Okay, I said I was gonna start the install, so okay, let's do that now. Triple checking before I started, actually, the battery mount tray and then the high center of gravity mount both have instructions online. There's no like PDF or printout for it, but there are a few steps that let you know how to install it. And so yeah, that's also something good to note. Nothing, like I said, nothing physical, no paper, but it's all digital, all online. So if you need to have that handy, yeah, just be able to pull that up. Something I wanted to know before installing was the weight and dimensions. I was surprised to see thickness went from 2.6 millimeters stock to 2.3 millimeters Bingo Wasp, which is a 12% decrease in thickness, noticeable enough to the naked eye. The stock weight on the chassis was 7 ounces, everything included for supports and bumpers, front and back. The Bingo Wasp weighed in at a shocking 3.75 ounces, with the front bumper and supports, which is about half the weight. Then, including the high center of gravity tray, about 1.4 ounces, and it's still just over 5 ounces, which is about 2 ounces lighter than stock. Measurements on the high center of gravity battery tray came in at 65 millimeters. The small support was 20 millimeters and the bigger support was 45 millimeters, which allows for multiple heights and placements. There is also a vertical orientation that you can use for the battery tray, which I'll try out in the future. 2 different size standoffs are included for the battery tray, and turns out there's 2 different thicknesses to batteries. I have a Shorty 2S LiPo, but the thicker version. The Bingo Wasp includes a 9mm and 14mm standoffs, depending on which battery thickness you have, which is 18.5mm or, like mine, 25mm. The ability to tune and arrange your chassis is extremely versatile. 4 battery locations, stock deck, bingo deck location, rearward deck location, and then the high center of gravity mount. Then there's 3 battery heights, stock deck level, 40mm or 65mm. You can also remove the middle deck support, which allows for more chassis flex, which I'll experiment with in the future. When you remove the middle support, it also allows for more room to install electronics and allows you to do the rearward battery placement. As far as physically installing the parts onto the new Bingo Wasp chassis, it was a standard installation. After I found the PDF showing hole placement and the online instructions for the battery tray, it was all a straightforward installation. All the hole placement is stock alignment, so nothing to modify or change. You just unbolt your stock RDS components and easily install them into the Bingo Wasp. Looking at the finished setup, man, this is so nice. It's too nice to drive. I'm gonna drive it, but everything about this went together extremely well. It was everything highly detailed and easy to assemble. There were those options with the upper support, the mid chassis support. So I wanted to put everything like stock, like it would be set up, except for the battery tray. So I will begin to test chassis flex different things, see if there is a major difference. I do appreciate the no bumper look and that nice front bumper that's included by Redcat. So now I can use that, and it just looks so much more sleek. Putting in all the electronics, having that all set up went extremely smooth. There used to be a point to route within the deck. The wire, you no longer have that. It's much thinner, so sacrificing that, it's not really a sacrifice, but yeah, that's something to note. But everything else, 100% stock alignment, everything went together great. The shock towers look awesome. They are slightly shaped different, but everything else is exactly stock. Same with the rears back there. They just look great. The back of the deck hanging out there. The engraving, we got V1, Bingo Wasp. Still able to get to the servo horn. Mounting adjustment, no problem there. So, happy to report this is an amazing setup. It looks so great. These are my practice tires for outside. I do have my Yokomo, or excuse me, my DS LF3s, but these are my Yokomo practice tires. But these are glued on the white wheels, and I think that looks so much better than the black wheels on this car, especially with that white. So much contrast between the red and the white. Just aesthetics. That's always nice to touch on. But yeah, half the weight on the chassis, 12% thinner as well. So half the weight, 12% thinner. And boy, we are looking good. Huge shout out to Bingo Wasp Designs, RC Designs, making a killer chassis setup here. Shock towers, and then the high center of gravity mount. That ability to choose which height you want is cool. Oh, also, happy to report, I am positive that the body is actually going to work. Just going to kind of cram them in there because the engine, or not the engine, the motor is just roughly the same height as well. The deck and everything is set up the same height, and I had my GoPro running, and so I know that cleared. And so actually looking with the GoPro on, I know for a fact, even without mounting the body, that the high center of gravity mount isn't going to affect the stock Redcat chassis or the Redcat shell. So you're going to still be able to run that, no problem. So if anybody was curious about that, I definitely am going to use magnet mounting points for these for this body, and I have a new body coming in, like I said, for the GTI. But that way, I can still run the stock body and have my hatchback body, have it all work. And so maybe some other mounts get even higher. I have a 3D printed mount for the stock chassis that I'm going to try out in the future. But this is so much better. And so knowing that this is gonna be compatible with most bodies, really. I mean, so if my stock RDS chassis or RDS shell will work, a lot of other shells I would assume are gonna work, because this doesn't have a lot of height built into the body. It's not the smallest, slimmest, but I mean, I would assume other shells would accommodate this setup, then having it not be a major problem. Some cars, I'm sure you will run into the problem with some of the shells, but overall, insane setup. Had a great time doing it, and like I said, I just don't want to drive it because it looks so good. I'm gonna make another video for you guys, driving it, taking it to the track, testing it out. I don't have the magnet mounts, and I don't have the other body, so I'm just gonna run no shell for a while. Hopefully I don't scuff it up too bad. Also wanted to throw in there the battery mounting points. You have multiple options, which I really appreciate. So you can go far back, mid, or forward. So you've got 3 points in the upper tray, as well as you're able to remove this brace, mount the battery on the floor of the chassis, mounted in the center or up further in the stock position. So you have like a rearward option, mid and forward for bottom and top, high center of gravity and low center. And so that's a huge tunability option. So you just got different things going on. Also, my battery was, I guess it's a shorty, but it's a thick boy. And so there's two standard sizes. I would say there's a more thinner size that is more competitive, and then we've got my thicker, more budget friendly shorty, S2 LiPo battery. And so he actually includes braces for both. So this is the option for the thick one. There's also a thin one. And man, those aluminum standoffs are sweet. Need to find out how to get those, because I wanna replace like the other standoffs in my car, because those look so good. But yeah, the battery placement, huge tunability option. Everything else, from what I can tell, is stock alignment, stock setup. You can run run it without the brace. You just have to get your own hardware and a finishing nut to go on the other side to hold that, because there's nothing to screw into if you remove that bottom brace. And then if you remove this bottom brace, it also opens up the possibility to mount your ESC or other electronics further back. So to move even more weight, just to play with tuning. So my stock RDS Hobby Wing ESC is a little thick. So even if I remove this, it's a little tight in there. I could probably fit it. But at the moment, like I said, I want to run this completely stock when I do my testing. How it would be, I guess technically the high center of gravity. But once I start moving things around, testing it out. But this is how I want to run it, just right off the rip. So yeah, and so I think that's where we're going to leave the video for you guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and got some information, some entertainment out of it. If you do have questions, make sure you're dropping them in the comment section. Definitely look at everything and we'll answer any questions you have about the setup. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe, but most importantly, never stop evolving.